I want to make this. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
restart. And then as well as if you have any questions like about your specific individual or personal question, I ask that you reach out to me personally. I will attach my phone number and email at the end. All right, so let's get started. So a little bit about me. I've been employed at Chapel Haven for 3.5 years. I was a support coordinator in the community for 2.5 years, and then I just celebrated my 1 year as the benefits coordinator. I received my bachelor's degree in social work at Southern Connecticut State University, and I received my master's degree in social work in 2022 from Fordham University. I like spending time with my husband, my family, my 3 cats, and my Chapel Haven family, some of which even attended my wedding a 1.5 years ago. So benefits department in a snapshot, currently we're serving 70 individuals and their families who subscribe to a benefits service offered here at Chapel Haven for a monthly fee of $85. We also serve as a resource for families in SLP, SAIL, REACH, and ASAP. We act as the Chapel Haven liaison for these federal, state, and local agencies, as well as maintaining these monthly entitlements to those federal, state, and local agencies. So for some of our federal benefits and entitlements, we work closely with the Social Security Administration, and those benefits include the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance Program, SSDI, the Social Security Disabled Adult Child Benefit, known as DOC, Social Security Survivors Benefit, and the Social Security Traditional Retirement Benefit. So for the Supplemental Security Income Program, SSI, it provides payments to those who are disabled or older who have little to no resources, and it's on a needs basis. It provides a monthly payment, which is dependent on one's income, living situation, and what they own. Currently, the monthly maximum payment for 2025 is $967 for an individual. And for those that are earning SSI and also working, they can continue to work, but for every $2 they earn at their job, their SSI benefit is reduced by $1. And for those individuals who subscribe to our benefit services, I do report on their wages monthly. Our individuals in REACH and our community members in SAIL, SLP, and ASAP can qualify for SSI, and most of them actually already have SSI in place, given that they need to, this benefit needs to be established with the disability prior to the age of 18. So our next program is the Social Security Disability Insurance Program, SSDI. SSDI also provides monthly payments to those who are disabled that limits their ability to work or prohibits them from working altogether. To be eligible for this program, one must have a disability, a blindness, or have had enough work history and paid into the system. Along with the SSDI benefit, you also get Medicare. So one who is eligible for SSDI, once they've become eligible after 24 months, they also will be automatically enrolled in Medicare. And currently the monthly maximum payment for SSDI in 2025 is $4,018 for an individual. Adults receiving this entitlement, like I said, have a work history, and it needs to be a work history of 5 or more years, which the administration considers work credits, and they monitor that closely, and they need to also have a disability that impacts their ability to be gainfully employed. Our next benefit is the Disabled Adult Child Benefit, known as DOC. To be eligible for this benefit, one must be unmarried, at least 18 years old, have a disability that began before the age of 22. Their parent is either deceased, retired, or also receiving disabled benefits. They must meet the Social Security Administration's definition of having a disability and do not have a substantial earning. Our Chapel Haven adults can qualify for this program if their parent retires and begins collecting Social Security themselves. The families, however, must initiate the application when they go to apply for their retirement benefits. Next, we have the survivor's benefit. The survivor's benefit is also monthly payments, which are paid to eligible family members of those who had a family member who died and paid into Social Security. For those children who are eligible, they must be unmarried and have had a disability that began before the age of 21. Generally speaking, a child can collect up to 75% of the parent's benefit. So this is if and when a parent should pass and it's before they retire, an adult at Chapel Haven can qualify for this specific benefit. Next, we have Social Security's traditional retirement. So Social Security's traditional retirement benefit is a monthly check that replaces their income when they either stop working altogether or reduce their hours significantly. To be eligible for retirement, one has to be 62 or older and have had to have paid into Social Security for 10 or more years. An individual can work and collect Social Security retirement benefits. If they choose to retire before full retirement age and continue to work, their benefits will be reduced by $1 for every $2 they earn at their job, and they cannot earn more than $23,400. If they choose to retire after they reach full retirement age, they can continue working and have it not affect their benefit whatsoever. Right now, we really don't have many adults who collect retirement benefits on their own accord. Typically, they collect what I mentioned before, the disabled adult child benefit, because they'll get more money collecting on their parents' retirement behalf rather than their own. Next is the substantial gainful activity known as the SGA. The SGA is an acronym described by Social Security, which is an amount that one can earn that they have to stay under to remain eligible for disability benefits. Currently, for 2025, the SGA limit is $1,620 a month. This limit is extremely important and something that everyone should be mindful of, because exceeding this multiple times will jeopardize one's future benefits, as the government will look to reclassify their work status, essentially deeming them gainfully employed, which can change the entire trajectory of things. Next is a few reports that we see here in the benefits department that we work on, sent by Social Security. So one of them, like I mentioned before, is the SSI wage report. This is a monthly wage report sent to Social Security for those receiving SSI. So that way Social Security can make an accurate change to their payments depending on how much they earn in a given month. Then we have the work activity report, which is just a document that describes one's work activity to ensure that it's substantial and gainful work. And then we have the income disability update report, which is a form that collects information on SSI and SSDI beneficiaries and their medical conditions, recent treatment for those medical conditions, any recent education, and any recent attempts to return back to work. Next, a little bit about the Social Security appeal process. At the benefits department, we really do not have anything to do with the appeal process. However, we are happy to provide any federal, state, or local agency with objective information, like an individual's pay stubs, bank statements, third-party psychological evaluations. However, we do not interpret any testing or make any diagnoses. We will not reach out to any school districts or medical professionals for previous testing and reports. parents are responsible for this piece. However, we are happy to submit any of our Chapel Haven generated school reports and or a letter describing what our organization looks like at the request of a parent or guardian. So next we'll talk a little bit about our state benefits and entitlements. Some of the agencies we work for the state are the State of Connecticut Department of Social Services, DSS, the State of Department Developmental Services, DDS, and the State of Housing and Development, also known as HUD. So our first benefit through DSS is Medicaid. Medicaid is also known as Husky, which is Connecticut's medical insurance program. There are four types, A, B, C, and D. C is the most common one that you will come across in our population at Chapel Haven. It's offered to those Connecticut residents who are blind, disabled, or 65 or older. So there's two types of Husky C, essentially. There is the age blind and disabled, or there's the working disabled, which is also known as MedConnect or our SO5 waiver. To be eligible for the age blind and disabled, your income must not exceed $1,234 monthly, and your assets must not exceed $1,600 monthly. There is, however, a spend down process which I will touch upon in the next slide if one is over the income or asset limit. For Husky C working disabled, the income and asset limits are much higher. So for the income limit, one must not earn more than $75,000 a year, and their asset limit cannot exceed 10 grand a month. However, depending on what their gross income monthly, they may have to pay a monthly premium.
Alicia, can I just jump in and add one thing
Yep, go ahead, Sunny.
to that slide? I just wanted to share with families who have DDS funding that all individuals with DDS residential or day funding, they are on the Medicaid SO5 waiver, which essentially, the state of Connecticut likes that waiver to remain in place so that federal dollars continue to pay for services. So, Chapel Haven is a vendor, obviously, for DDS, and that is backed by the Medicare HCBS waiver. So somebody must remain on Medicaid in order to receive that money. So when you have that SO5 status, and you forget to, I don't know, submit a bank statement or something like that, it doesn't really interrupt the Medicaid benefit, if that makes sense, because the state likes to keep Medicaid in place in order to receive those federal dollars. So, and if somebody before they qualify for DDS, we help ensure that DDS case managers transition to this Medicaid SO5 waiver when funding from DDS comes into play. So I just wanted to add that.
All set, Sunny. So like I mentioned, there's a spend down process for those that are over the income or asset limit. That dollar amount is dependent on how much one is over the limit, and that dollar amount also resets every 6 months. If one is over the income, they can spend down their income by paying off medical bills, paying for private health insurance, or paying medical expenses that Medicaid does not cover. And if they are over the assets, an individual can use their countable assets to pay on non-countable assets to reduce that dollar amount. Spend downs tend to be problematic as they require proof of payment, like receipt submissions. And for a receipt submission, for example, if one was over the income limit and they paid on a medical bill, they'd get a receipt of that, and they could send me the receipt, and then I would upload that to their DSS account, and then DSS would take that medical bill amount and subtract it from the dollar amount that they are over. Next we have our Medicaid waivers. There's a lot of different Medicaid waivers. These are just a few of the ones that we come across most often at Chapel Haven. So first we have our home and community-based waiver, which is a program that allows individuals with disabilities to remain in their home or in their community rather than needing institutionalized care. And it provides a range of services like in-home care, employment support, or family assistance. The next waiver is the personal care assistance, which is similar to the HCBS waiver. It's for adults 18 to 64 who are disabled. And rather than needing to be institutionalized, it helps them to remain in the home. And a personal care attendant is assigned to them and helps them perform those activities of daily living. And then we have our autism waiver, which is a waiver for those with autism to help them with assistance with social skills, life skills, behavioral supports, etc. Our next DSS program is cash assistance. Cash assistance is exactly as it sounds. It provides cash to the age blind and disabled. To qualify, one must be between 18 to 65 and meet the disability criteria set forth by Social Security. Their assets cannot exceed $1,600 a month, and their income must be below 55% of the federal poverty level. A lot of our adults are not on this program as the threshold is so low, and for those that are on this program, they receive little to no cash assistance, like less than $10 a month. Our next DSS program is the MSP and QMB. MSP stands for Medicare Savings Program, and QMB stands for the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary. MSP and QMB stand for the same program, and they're used interchangeably. And what this program does is it pays for the Part B premium, Medicare deductibles, and coinsurances. And to be eligible, one must be on Medicare and their gross income cannot exceed $2,649 a month. Our next DSS program is EBT, SNAP, or food stamps. EBT stands for Electronic Benefit Transfer. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or food stamps. They're all used interchangeably and all refer to the same program. SNAP is a program offered here in Connecticut to help those buy food, and money is uploaded on a gray silver like debit card to help them purchase groceries. They can purchase fruits, vegetables, meats, dairy products, etc. Things that can't be purchased are like medicine, paper products, cleaning products, etc. To be eligible for SNAP, it depends on the income that one has each month. One's income cannot exceed $2,510 a month. And if their income does not exceed that limit, DSS does their calculations, and the minimum amount that one can get is $23 a month, and the maximum benefit that one can get is $292 a month. A vast majority of our Chapel Haven adults qualify for food stamps and receive anywhere from that to $23 to $292 a month. Next we have our State of Connecticut Department of Developmental Services application criteria. So I'll start by saying, at Chapel Haven in the Benefits Department, we do not complete the initial DDS application. However, we will send out the application and resources to help families apply, and it is linked in that, what's highlighted in the blue is the link to the application. For anyone that's interested in getting funding from DDS, they must be on that HCBS waiver that we talked about a few slides before. Other criteria is they must have an intellectual disability that began before the age of 18, have an IQ of 69 or less, be Medicaid eligible, which I just mentioned, and be a Connecticut resident. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to establish Connecticut residency in the next slide. So to establish Connecticut residency, obviously you must live in Connecticut and pay rent or tuition. You have to receive mail at a Connecticut address, have a valid CTID issued by the Department of Motor Vehicles, and have lived at your current address for 90 or more days and be able to submit proof of that home address, whether that be a utility bill, a lease, etc. And fun fact, our adults that live in Sale can use 1040 Whaley Ave as their permanent address since the program is a lifelong program. Next, DDS program we have is our rent subsidy program. Our rent subsidy program through DDS is developed to help our individuals with disabilities pay rent. To be eligible, one has to be receiving funding and residential services through DDS, not have sufficient income, and their living situation must meet the rent subsidy protocol. However, rent subsidy is never guaranteed, and the program is easily exhausted year after year. DDS case managers can help with the application process. And once an individual is approved for rent subsidy, I go ahead and I report their monthly income to the state, and the state comes back and gives a dollar amount to the individual based on that of how much they'll provide in rental assistance. Next, we have our State of Connecticut Housing and Development, also known as HUD. Their program is the Housing Choice Voucher, also known as Section 8. And Section 8 is similar to rent subsidy. It is to provide assistance with for individuals and families with low income for assistance with rental payments. It's based on your gross income and family size. A family's income cannot exceed 50% of the median income for the geographic location in which a family chooses to live. Their rental unit must meet the quality and safety set forth by Section 8, and their landlord must also agree to rent under Section 8 terms. Unfortunately, right now, applications and the waiting lists are closed. There is a waiting list to the waiting list, which is open, which is essentially a phone number and an email. And once the waiting list is to become open, those individuals on the waiting list to the waiting list will be moved over to the waiting list. I, along with some of my colleagues, have notifications set up to be notified if and when any notifications, if and when any openings become available. Next, we have our local benefits and entitlements. Some of the agencies we work with locally are Southern Connecticut Gas, United Illuminating, some telephone and internet companies, and the Community Action Agency of New Haven. These programs are for our SLP members who live in the community. They're eligible to receive benefits through these programs. However, to qualify, their utility bill needs to be in the individual's name and not in the parent's name. So our programs through Southern Connecticut Gas and United Illuminating, they both offer a low-income discounted rate program, which is to help their residential customers pay towards the rising energy costs. They offer two different discounts. They offer a 10% tier 1 discount and a 50% tier 2 discount to be applied towards monthly charges. So for their tier 1 10% discount, someone's income cannot exceed $45,505 annually, and they have to be on an eligible program like Husky B, Medicare Savings Program, or Section 8. And then to receive the tier 2 50% discount, one's income cannot exceed $24,096 annually. And they must be on an eligible program like SSI, SSDI, A, C, or D, SNAP, or cash assistance. Then a few telephone and internet companies offer some benefits. So Frontier offers a Lifeline program, which helps qualifying individuals pay for some telephone and internet services. Their telephone service costs $5.25 a month, and their internet service costs $9.25 a month. And to qualify for these programs, you either need to be on Medicaid, SNAP, SSI, or Section 8. Xfinity offers a similar program called Internet Essentials, which is to help qualifying individuals pay for internet services at a cost of $14.95 a month. And to qualify, one must be on Medicaid or SNAP. Next, we have our Community Action Agency of New Haven, which offers a energy assistance program. This helps eligible people pay for their heating costs. They offer a credit between $180 to $530 a month, dependent on income, household size, and whether someone in the household is a part of a vulnerable population. To be eligible for this program, one's income must fall at or below the federal poverty limit of 60% of the state's median income. For example, for a household size of 1, an individual's income must fall below $44,505. One can automatically be eligible if they're enrolled in the following programs: state supplement, SNAP, or SSI. Next, I'll talk a little bit about trust and able accounts. So many of our Chapel Haven families have worked with attorneys to establish a special needs trust or an able account. A special needs trust safeguards current and future assets, ensuring that adult children have sufficient funds and resources to live and thrive. Individuals can use their special needs trusts for supplementing state and federal benefits, purchasing necessities, paying bills, or enhancing their quality of life, like going on a vacation. The Federal Achieving a Better Life Experience, also known as ABLE, Act became law in 2014, and it offers the chance for individuals with disabilities to open a tax-deferred savings account and to maintain their independence. And there in the blue is the link to eligibility for opening an ABLE account. So here in our benefits department, while there is many things we can do, there is also some things that we cannot do. So some of the things we do not do here in the benefits department are, is we do not claim to be experts. Every adult has their own different profile. We cannot offer financial advice. We'll never understand someone's unique position. We do not choose healthcare insurance plans. Medicare has hundreds of plans, and they should be chosen with care, as it depends on medications, specialists, monthly premium thresholds, etc. We are not listed as guardians or authorized representatives. We cannot set up or manage trusts. We do not complete the initial Social Security or DDS applications, and we cannot complete Social Security decision appeals. However, there is a program called the SAFE program, which stands for Securing Advocacy for Everyone Incorporated, which is an option for families if they need help making these decisions for their loved ones. So right here, we have my contact information, and now I am open for any questions that you guys may have.
So why don't we stop the share, Alicia, so we can,
Yes.
it's harder to see what's happening.
Yep.
Anybody have a question?
I think there might be
Put
some.
it in the chat. Carol Harris, you want to unmute?
There we go. Okay. So the SNAP benefit, Catherine's were drastically reduced, I guess, after COVID, but she only gets $23 a month. So I'm just curious, how is that calculated? Because she only works, she works less than 20 hours a week.
I have no idea how DSS does their specific calculations. It's something we can do, but like I said, if you have a personal question about your specific individual, send me an email or a phone call. We can discuss that.
Have you found that most people's SNAP were reduced, or is that something that just kind of happened?
it really depends on each person's financial situation.
Mhm.
I think we were really spoiled during COVID. I think that, most of our adults were getting, between $230 and $250 a month during COVID.
They
So I
were also
feel we,
getting 2 payments.
2 payments every month. Yeah. So we sort of lost track. But the thing with the DSS calculations, where Social Security is concerned, every time SSI makes a change on the paperwork that they send, the last couple of pages, they show you how they calculate,
Oh,
how
yeah.
they come to arrive at that amount, they take off $80 and then, whatever, they do their thing, they show that. The Department of Social Services doesn't share that formula. And I think, Alicia, maybe if I understand correctly now, they're not even answering the phones. You used to be able to, get in the car and drive down to Bassett Street and sit there and wait for a worker. But, they're not open to the public anymore. And it's very difficult to get a worker on the phone to kind of, answer those questions. So it's tough.
Okay, let's go to David Schwartz if you want to unmute, David.
Great. Hey, Catherine, how you doing? Alicia, great presentation. Lots of information, for sure. Will you be sending that presentation out
Yes, I
by any
will.
chance? Yeah, you will be.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, so I feel like I need to share it with everyone so you can look it over.
I took as many copious notes as I could, but I think I may have missed a couple of things.
Of course.
We'll
But
be
it sounds like
the
the
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, got it. Sounds like the monthly fee for the benefit service is really more maintenance once you get into one of the programs, right? So if there's any change in activity, whether there's any earnings that are made, you take care of, filing that into, SSI or any one of these different programs that are there.
Yeah.
But any initial application, we would, the parent would kind of like drive that home. If we have questions, it sounds like you may be available to handle one-off questions, but it's really, once it's in place, it's more of maintenance, right?
Right. So the only like initial applications that I'll complete is the DSS state ones, but like if it's Social Security or if it's DDS, that's on the parent's responsibility. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Other questions? You can also just put them in the chat or raise your hand. Go ahead, Carol.
So, do you have plans soon to develop Emerson Street?
Not me, Sunny. That's all you.
Do we have plans to develop Emerson?
Oops. Sunny is on mute, is muted.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there we go. I was just laughing out loud to myself, Carol.
Catherine's asking me.
Yeah, no, we had a couple of plans, that we were considering, in the past. I think now, phase 3 of campus transformation is, we're focusing on the third building. But we're also, preparing for a strategic plan, completing our strategic plan over the next 6 months. So, if anything comes of that, Carol, I will certainly let you know. It's definitely, I can't say that it's moving forward, but, we're still holding true to the property that we own on the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Christy Chandler. Where are you, Christy? Did we lose you? Huh. Well, it looked like she had a question, but I don't know where she went.
I do. Sorry, I couldn't
There you
figure
are.
out how to unmute myself. Hello.
Oh.
Catherine, I'm sorry, not Catherine. Sunny, I wonder, I know most of the families on here now are, well into the program and maybe even aren't getting the monthly allowance that is a part of REACH and sometimes a part of ASAT. But I wonder if you could still just talk about how we send that SSI letter out to families, why we send that out, about the monthly allowance, potentially impacting their SSI benefits whenever they first enter the program.
Yeah, so maybe I can best explain that just by kind of sharing what some families have endured in the past, right? So the adult child is living at home, right, prior to admission at Chapel Haven. They're accepted into the program and then they move away from your home, maybe in state or out of state, and you begin paying Chapel Haven a tuition, and the adult moves into an apartment in the REACH program. And from that tuition, we take monies and pay that student an allowance, right? So they can go to the grocery store and recreate and do those sorts of things. The Social Security Administration views that as unearned income, right? The individual isn't living under your roof and you're not using those dollars to pay for food and shelter and associated costs in your own home when you're paying a tuition to Chapel Haven, and that's being provided here, if that makes sense. So if you continue to receive the full benefit while the adult is enrolled at Chapel Haven, and they learn of that when the adult transitions to the community, then they'll say, hey, we had intended to cut your benefit by 50%, and now you owe us 50% of that of that monthly benefit for the time that the student was in the REACH program.
Thanks, Sunny. And can I just ask a quick follow-up question, sort of related as well? I think I know there's some current REACH families on the call right now who might be wondering, like, okay, if they stay on after graduation and they move into the supported living program and they're currently an out-of-state individual, they live in Jersey or Massachusetts, how hard is it for them to potentially qualify for services in Connecticut? And then if they do qualify, how likely are they typically to get any of these benefits that you guys have talked about tonight?
So assuming the individual already has Social Security, a form of Social Security in place, the only application that's really required is the application for DDS. And the most recent application that we helped a family complete, their daughter transitioned to the community less than 2 years ago from the REACH program, moved into the community. Her parents applied and they just received funding like within the last 2 months, the funding for DDS, residential supports. Did I answer your question, Christy? I'm looking at your smiling picture. I can talk to a wall. I'm getting distracted.
Thank you, Sunny. Yeah, that was helpful.
But we had the longest, we did have a family that had waited 14 years for IHS or residential funding in the community. That was sort of the longest. And I'd say most recently, we became hip to the fact that as parents, parents who are waiting for DDS funding to kick in, if you happen to turn 70, that is some threshold that the state considers as the caregiver is aging, and they look kindly upon that. So we've had other families, through, the DDS meeting say, hey, I'm turning 70, I'm retiring myself, when is this funding coming around? And we've seen funding allocated in that way as well. So there's, a few different ways that we can, go about helping families attain it.
That's probably the only time when you're turning 70 that anybody's going to look kindly. Let's go to Margot.
So I'm one of those out-of-state parents. We're one of those out-of-state families. So I'm not sure that this helps everyone, but Christy helped me, and someone else, it may have been Sunny, helped us understand when our son moved in September. And we're in the process of applying for SSI. We didn't get it done before 18. So that $600 that is his allowance every month, we're paying directly to him with the hope that once he gets the SSI, it'll kick back to us and that they'll take that over. So it doesn't look like he's getting this gift or extra income from Chapel Haven. So if that helps anybody else on the call. There you go. I don't think I completely understand, and this may be too personal to my kid, that potential third year after reach in the community, and how that works. When do we look to decide? When we look to decide if that's going to happen, can we then start to apply for those things that are Connecticut based that he could have even if he's not a resident? Or is that not how this works? You would have to apply to be a resident.
Yeah, so to start all of the benefits through the state, DDS and DSS, you have to start first with DSS. You have to get on Medicaid. In order to get on Medicaid, you have to live off campus essentially and, pay rent. Unless you're in the SAIL program, which the circumstances are a little bit different for that one program, but that's how it's determined. Right. So you're Medicaid first. DDS won't look at you without Medicaid, without active Medicaid, right? Because that's the channel to the federal government for that service.
And having OPWDT Medicaid now is only for New York. I would have to do different Medicaid for Connecticut.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. But that's something that Alicia knows like the back of her hand. A Connecticut Medicaid application will take her 5.5 minutes, Margot. So
There you go. So that could be very helpful. And how about David? We'll go back to David.
Yeah, quick question. So you mentioned that you have to be living in Connecticut and paying rent. What if you're not paying rent?
then you're making a lot of unearned income because somebody else is paying rent for you.
Okay.
So you can find a way to have, even if your son is living in a property owned by you, you can have a lease and he can be using a portion of his Social Security to pay you rent.
Got it. Okay. And you need that for the DSS.
Correct.
Yeah. Because otherwise SSI assumes that he's living under, your roof, and therefore they just reduce the funding that they give, by whatever, several $100s a month.
Right. Yeah. If you have him, they're not going to assume that he's living elsewhere unless you report to them that he is.
Right. But yeah, from the beginning, I think it's always been the same situation where he's living under one of my roofs, and therefore it's it's the reduced funding. So the funding amount doesn't change. It just sounds like for DSS, you have to show that was the thing I was just zoning in on. You have to show that as a member of the community living there that he's paying rent to file for DSS benefits, or no?
So you don't.
Yeah. Or no?
Well, yes and no. If they're paying rent, chances are their benefit's going to end up being higher because they have a bill. We could report that their parent pays their rent, but then it looks like they're paying nothing, and then chances are their benefit is going to be lower.
Yeah, but if you're okay with the benefit being lower, that doesn't preclude you from still applying for DSS, does it?
Not for SNAP or Medicare Savings Program or any of those other things. However, if you're referring to DDS, you do need to be a Connecticut resident, but I don't think that involves having to pay rent, just that you have proof that you're living in Connecticut.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
Michelle has a question.
I do have a question, but I just want to follow up so I understand what David was talking about. Is this the situation where a parent would want to put a property in an LLC so that the resident or children are paying rent to the LLC, so it appears as an independent agency? They're not paying rent to their parents to maximize the SSI?
I mean, I don't know the thought behind it, Michelle, but I do know that a number of our parents who own condos have that in a special needs trust probably for that reason.
Not in a special needs trust. You put it in an LLC because you don't want your special needs trust to have the liability of the property. You would put
Okay.
it in a separate LLC.
Or to have income, quite
A lot
frankly.
of lawyers would tell you not to put it in the special needs trust. You don't want that kind of asset there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Okay.
I can't.
That wasn't my question anyway, but my question was actually, Alicia, if you could expand a little bit on the utilities benefits, this tier 1 and tier 2. For those of us who might have been silly enough not to be aware of this and put utilities in,
Your name.
well, it's not in my name, but it's in the name of an LLC that owns the property.
So I have another individual who's same situation. It's in the dad's LLC, and so he cannot access those benefits.
Right. So
However, if it was in Debbie's name, she is eligible for all of those, to apply for all of those benefits. So specifically the SCG and the UI, if she's paying for a gas bill and a UI bill, and she's on one of those qualifying programs, SNAP, Medicaid, any of those, she can apply for that and either receive the 10% discount or the 50% discount monthly. So if her bill was $100 a month, it'll go down to $50 a
and
month.
is that just as simple as calling the utilities and
And
changing
getting
the
it changed.
name?
Yes, I
Just
just
change-
had another family who it was in the parent's name and they changed it into the individual's name so they can access those benefits.
All right, so this is just a matter of calling the utility and is in the same phone call. Can we discuss tier 1, tier 2, or first do we get it in her name and then have to discuss tier 1, tier 2?
Probably discuss it all in one phone call. And that's actually how we found out about the program itself. We had an individual whose thing was astronomical and we were calling to complain about that and see if there was any options. And that's when we found out that these are programs that UI and SCG offer.
Okay.
Almost all of my individuals who have the bill and the utility bill in their name are receiving this program.
Great. And is there any proof of income, proof of like, do you know what I need to be prepared with to have?
Submit that statement that you get from Social Security at the beginning of the year saying they make X amount, or if you go on to Debbie's DSS online account and it says proof of benefits.
No DDS for us.
DSS.
Oh, DSS.
If you
Okay.
log into her DSS, sorry if that's my fault. If you log into her DSS account, there's an option where it says verification of benefits. If you click that, it'll come up with what benefits she's on, if that's SNAP, Medicaid, whatever it is, and you could submit that as well.
And so I need to have that ready for when I make this call. Okay.
That and the account number. Those are the two things that they're gonna ask for.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sunny and Alicia, you both know so much about all of this, but if families wanted to like hire somebody to explore what benefits or what entitlements they might be missing, would that be an attorney or are there people out there that can help families?
Yeah. So, oh, go ahead, Alicia.
Sunny.
Oh, I was just going to say that we have more than a few attorneys who have helped parents with different issues, mostly with Social Security concerns, whether it's eligibility, or most recently I talked with a family who had trouble getting on the doc, the DAC, and they needed an attorney to do that. So Alicia and I both have a number of people that, our families have worked with that we're happy to share with families here.
Great. Yeah. Because it's a lot, there's a lot of info, but on the other hand, there are so many possible benefits that maybe our adults might be missing. So it's all really good information.
Yeah, and this is definitely, the benefits, this is like a one-man band, literally. Alicia makes up the benefits department. Tammy joins her with some of the, the DDS expertise part of things, but this is definitely an area we're looking to expand, in the coming years. So, yeah, so it's exciting, but the material isn't all that exciting, I guess.
It's exciting to me.
There's a payoff. It is exciting to you, which is great.
All it takes is one person to be excited. Well, I really want to thank everybody. I think this was really terrific. And we will follow up with both a link to we'll put this on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to rewatch, but I'll also send you the actual slideshow. And then if you have other questions, you can get in touch with us. I hope.
A quick question,
Yes.
because I'm trying to figure out if, what Chris might be eligible for above and beyond what he gets. So is that something that I could direct to you, or do I have to direct that to somebody above and beyond your expertise level?
You can contact me, Stu, and we can discuss Chris privately.
That sounds great. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. And please join us for our other webinars and have a wonderful night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
I have to remember how to turn this off now so I get the recording. Thank you, Alicia and Sunny.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Good job. Okay.